Today I'm reviewing The Sims 4 Vintage Glamour stuff. This is a part of a series where I review every single pack for The Sims 4, including all of the older ones. A new video uploaded every single Monday. Vintage Glamour stuff is, funnily enough, a pack about vintage glamour. It contains some vintage fashion in the pack. It's mostly classic Hollywood styled. It comes with a couple of new gameplay functionalities, and we've got quite a lot of new build buy with this one. Starting off with the cast for this pack, the cast fits the theme very, very well. I do think a lot of the hairstyles with this pack are actually really nice. I also really appreciate that although it's vintage Hollywood style glamour, it can actually work with modern Sims as well. Like, it looks really stunning even in the modern world. So I think when it comes to vintage style stuff, it can often come across as old-fashioned, but weirdly it actually looks really modern with this pack, and I really like it. It also contains a really nice all-in-one suit for men, which I think looks really great. Although I will say I find it a little bit strange that it didn't come with any brand new trousers for men, especially seeing that it came with a few new suit tops. You would have expected trousers as well, but it's not the end of the world. Unfortunately, we only got one hairstyle for both male and female kids and one item of clothing each, and unfortunately nothing for toddlers. At least they tried. Although I really love the cast for this pack, I will just say there is simply not enough. I definitely just feel like they could have gone so much further with it and gave us some really nice glamorous pieces. I just don't really think they gave us enough to substantiate selling it as a stuff pack. Instead, I would say it's more like a kit's worth of stuff when it comes to casts. Although the cast for this pack suits the theme very well, there is simply just not enough, and I just don't think it's acceptable as well that there's basically nothing for kids and toddlers, because kids and toddlers existed in the vintage times. So we are starting off week with a 5 out of 10 for the cast. For build buy, this pack is really nice. It contains a lot of stuff which looks very vintage, but also weirdly modern at the same time. Just with the cast, the build buy is quite Hollywood and extravagantly themed. Everything is either mirrored or gold or sparkly. The swatches are really nice. It actually contains a lot of black and gold stuff, which is really nice, but you can also use a lot of paler stuff as well to make it a bit more modern looking. I would say the build buy for this pack looks really great for a bedroom or a living room. The walls and flooring for this pack are weirdly really nice too. I honestly love them so much. It contains some nice miscellaneous decorations as well as one of the nicest vases in the whole game too. The decorations are mostly bedroom themed, like makeup and stuff, but we also got, for example, a lamp and a nice candle, which is really great too. We also got like some kind of Marilyn Monroe inspired paintings as well. I would honestly say the build buy in this pack is some of the best build buy that we've had in a lot of Sims 4 packs. However, I will say a lot of the build buy in this pack is extremely similar to Get Famous. I have shown you a comparison here, Get Famous on the left, Vintage Glamour on the right. As you can see, they are extremely similar aesthetics, and if you already own Get Famous, you can basically pull off the Vintage Glamour vibe with that pack. So if you do already own Get Famous and you just really like build mode, perhaps you won't really need Vintage Glamour stuff. But for what it's worth, guys, I honestly love the build buy for this pack, so we're starting off strong with a 9 out of 10. In terms of the gameplay, there's a brand new bar object. It's a glow bar. You can use it for pouring certain special drinks. You can also make a drink platter with it too. It doesn't function exactly the same as a regular bar. It's more so just a simplified version. It also contains a vanity table, which is a brand new gameplay object. This functions exactly as a mirror and has all of the standard mirror interactions, but it also has the ability to apply makeup. When you click on it, it comes with a variety of different makeup presets. I actually like this. I think it makes it much easier to change your Sims makeup if you just can't be bothered to go into cast and do it. I honestly wish they make this a base game functionality, because I think a lot of people would use it just because it makes it so much easier. And then of course we have the butler, which is a brand new service in The Sims 4. A butler can be hired via the telephone, and it's hired as a service. The butler lives in your Sims house, and they'll basically do everything for you: cook meals, tidy up, greet guests, and basically fulfill almost any request. When the butler arrives, you can set a bedroom for them and lock it for the butler only. Although weirdly, you can't actually lock the butler out of a specific room, which I thought was kind of strange, but there we go. When you click on a butler, you can ask them to do a lot of tasks. You can ask them to cook a family meal. You can ask them to clean something up. You can ask them to look after the children. You can also ask them to not do certain things as well, which I think is quite good. Although this sounds like a really fun idea on paper, unfortunately, there are a lot of issues with the butler. I do find that the butler will often just idly run ran around literally running and not really doing that much. They will often pop their finger on a counter and flick it, but they don't actually really do anything that meaningful unless they have a very specific task that your sim has asked them to do. I almost wish they had a little bit more autonomy in terms of just cooking meals for your sims at a set time. I also wish that your sims would actually not cook and not clean for themselves when there is a butler around. I found that my adult sims were actually just autonomously cleaning things up and autonomously getting meals for themselves, and I actually had to cancel the interactions just so I could force a butler to do it, and it just felt very unnatural and unrealistic to me. I almost think there should have been some kind of gameplay functionality where if you hire a butler, then your sim will no longer do any cleaning or any cooking for themselves autonomously. In that sense, I will say the butler was pretty much pointless and didn't really do that much. I also find it very frustrating when it came to childcare as well, because when you ask the butler to care for a child, you can't choose what specific child. My toddler sim actually really needed his nappy changing, but the butler didn't actually do it. When I asked the butler to look after the children, it actually just went to the other child instead and just spoke to him on the bed. The butler also has very weird autonomy. In fact, my butler did not sleep all night, which was incredibly strange. They also don't really seem to look after their own needs very well, which again was very weird. Although I think the idea of this pack is a nice idea on paper, I do think the glow bar is kind of cool, don't get me wrong, but the vanity table is just a regular mirror plus being able to apply makeup. It's not the most enthusiastic gameplay element in the world. The butler is also just not very good, and I just don't think it was very well implemented, so unfortunately it is getting a 6 out of 10 for gameplay. The Sims 4 is a buggy game and this pack is no exception, so we need to look at performance. As I said before, when the toddler needed a nappy change, I asked the butler to tend the minor, but instead he didn't really do it, which was annoying. This interaction actually failed after trying 5 times. The butler didn't always clean up if I asked him to clean, he just didn't do it, which was honestly so annoying. As I said before, Sims will autonomously cook and clean for themselves, so you actually have to cancel their interactions to request a butler to do it. And that's if the butler will do it, because honestly the butler interactions fail so many times, it is so frustrating. The butler also kept complaining that their needs were low, but they didn't bother to feed themselves or even sleep, which was honestly so ridiculous. This pack is a buggy mess, and I've never ever been able to play with butlers and actually have them work properly, which is so frustrating. Having a pack that actually works is important. If it doesn't work, then the whole point of the game is pointless. So unfortunately it is getting a 1 out of 10 for performance. The next part of the review is where I give my personal opinion plus an overall conclusion. So for my overall conclusion for this pack, it is getting a 5 out of 10. I am very disappointed to give this one a 5 out of 10, and it's a really weird pack because the idea of it is really good. It's just not very well implemented. The cast is really lovely, but there just isn't enough there. The build buy is really lovely, but it's very similar to Get Famous. Although I will say the build buy is very nice and probably the strongest point about this pack. If you love build mode, it is definitely one of the most necessary packs, I feel like. It just falls short a lot on the gameplay elements. I just think it could have gone so much further. And the main issue I have with this pack is mostly just the performance. The actual coding of the butler was just implemented way too sloppily, and I do think it needs a lot of fixing. Unfortunately, it doesn't really look like EA gonna fix this one anytime soon, so it's probably gonna stay broken forever. If you appreciated this review, please make sure to save the playlist of all of my brutally honest reviews. I update it every single Monday. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.